Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are continuing to read from the book Namacharya, The Life of Srila Haridasa Thakur by Rupa Vilas Das. And we are on the end notes right now. So this is an extremely, so Srimad Bhagavatam 11 to 40. I think these are the different references that's given. So this is an extremely important philosophical point, that love of God is the real goal of Krishna consciousness. It is on this point that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu differed with other Vaishnavas. For example, Prabhu, can you scroll up? For example, in South India, Mahaprabhu's discussions with the Tattvavadis exposed this issue. Mahaprabhu's discussion with Ramananda Rai also covered the same important point. A true representative of Mahaprabhu stresses this point. Like Haridasa Thakur, a Chaitanya follower does not necessarily demand that someone give up their wealth or pursue the path of renunciation. He did not do so with the Majumdars. Rather, the pure devotee insists that the goal of chanting, the goal of Krishna consciousness is love of Krishna. Knowledge and renunciation are secondary to devotion. As the translation of Bhaukera by Professor Sanyal is reminiscent, I think, we can go down. As mentioned in the story of Bhrigumani, there are 3 different categories of offenses: mental, verbal, and physical. The atonements are different for each, and the implication is that one should atone for an offense in kind or according to the level of severity. Modern devotees often ritualize offenses by saying things like, "Pardon any offense I might have committed in what I am about to say." Many devotees assume that their novice position or the novice position of others gives them the right to offend individuals, leaders, groups, and organizations. Being frivolous, they unwittingly or callously offend others and assume that the more advanced persons are required to forgive such offenses. However, Srila Prabhupada demonstrated both the actions of forgiveness and of intolerance of irreconcilable insolence. However, Srila Prabhupada demonstrated both the actions of forgiveness and of intolerance of irreconcilable insolence. The point is that committing offenses like chanting and worshipping are not rituals. All services should be done with care and thought. Guarding against offense does not imply guilt or fear, but this expression implies that bhakti is a personal exchange, not a ritual act. In bhakti, one does not become pure or atone from offense by a ritual like bathing in sacred rivers. One is freed from offense by seeing Krishna and his devotees as persons and seeing Krishna's personal relationship with his devotees as of topmost importance to him. Dr. Sambhidanda Das, in his book, The History and Literature of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas and the Relationship to Other Medieval Vaishnava Schools, Sri Gaudiya Math, observes the revolutionary nature of Advaita Acharya's activities. To start a practice which was sure to be regarded as a social innovation, and the attempt to place a true devotee to whatever caste he may belong at birth above the so-called Brahmanas in a place like Shantipur, a stronghold of Brahmana influence, required a certain amount of sacrifice of social esteem. The clear mandate of his Advaita's deep scriptural knowledge supported him against enormous odds. In Bengal, particularly during this period, nobody could dream of ignoring the restrictions of the rigid society, however unstrict they might be. Let the society excommunicate the offender and prevent him from arranging the marriages of his children, especially the daughter at the proper age. The non-performance of which duty was and is still considered, particularly in the village life, to be the gravest slur on the good name of the family. Moreover, the daily life of any Hindu was made impossible if he incurred the displeasure of his caste. The leaders of caste punished dissenters by preventing the barber, washerman, nurse, shopkeeper, and so on from giving them any social services. The punishment which the society inflicted on such offenders was more severe than the penal servitude of the criminal court. No social threats on wrath of the fanatic ruler of the country prevented Advaita from doing his duty. He was invincible on the strength of his conviction that God is sure to be pleased with one who seeks to serve him. In America and other materialistic societies, some people consider the devotee's behavior and traditional dress to be eccentric. However, devotees like Advaita Acharya have shown the examples of indifference to such criticism. On one hand, religious freedom is encouraged in Western countries. On the other hand, Amish, Mennonites, Hasidic Jews, Orthodox Muslims, and Hare Krishna are sometimes quietly ostracized or even censored due to their traditional dress. Mature devotees know when it is appropriate to remain undercover so that they are unproducibly persecuted. However, they are not afraid to assert themselves by wearing traditional clothing like many Sikhs and Muslims do in order to demonstrate pride in their heritage and spiritual values. I think I'll end here. So basically, three important points stood out here, right? So far, what I've read. The first important point, very important point, most important point is Lord Chaitanya's teaching that what's our goal? Ultimately, what's our goal? Everything that we are doing, we are following this practicing Krishna consciousness and all of this. But the ultimate goal is prema, right? Love of Godhead. And that is the ultimate goal. And that is what, when he was discussing with Ramananda Roy, there is like a series of questions. He says, tell me more, what is the goal of life? So how Ramananda Roy goes through, just the basic things, he goes through that, and then he takes him, and in that, it's just a beautiful conversation where, like, he knows, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu already knows the answer, but he says, I'm just like a puppet, and you are just making me say all of these things, but I know you are the one who are making me answer all of these. So basically, anyway, the end point is that it is prema, it is the love of Godhead. That is our ultimate goal. So that's the first thing that stood out. The second thing that stood out was, let's see, about Advaita Acharya. That was the third point. What was the second point? Let me see. I think I kind of. Oh, yes, it was regarding the offenses. Again, how easily, right, in our world, we take committing offenses and all of that so easily. So it's really saying here, emphasizing about offenses that mental, physical, and verbal, everything is at a different level. And based on the offense that we commit, the forgiveness that we ask for forgiveness also has to be at the same level. And then also Prabhupada is this book, I guess Rupa Vilas Das Prabhu is pointing out that in here in the modern world, right, it's like people will say that I'm sorry, this may be hurting you, but and then you say it anyways, right? So it's like, no, we have to be careful, like not to commit offenses straightforward like that. And also very important point that's been brought up is that when we are chanting and we are doing all the services towards the Lord, we cannot just think that it is just a ritual like something else. And that's the offense, right? To think of chanting Hare Krishna to to be a ritualistic activities as described, like a karma kanda ritual. It's not. Anything that we do within the devotional service is really a relationship thing. It's really relationship, because Krishna, we know Krishna is a spiritual person and we are a part and parcel of him. We have relationship with him. So whether we are chanting, whether we are doing deity service, whether we are doing any services, it is really pleasing Krishna and we have the relationship with him. So we have to be really careful not to commit offenses in that relationship, because it's the relationship that is getting affected. And then the last important point is about Advaita Acharya. How elevated is he? He didn't consider what my prestige, what my situation will be, what my status will be. So that's such a high quality of a leader. Like within the caste, right? I mean, how many times is that? Sometimes we are put into some of the situations where you have to speak the truth, you have to defend the thing, but then you are also scared that that's going to jeopardize my position. I will not be in the popular position, I guess, if I did that right amongst my crowd, if I really spoke the truth. But then here, that's what the example is being showed, that Advaita Acharya, he gave Srila Haridas Thakur the highest position. Didn't matter he was from a different caste or anything, and he really did what was the right thing to do, because he knew Srila Haridas Thakur had that relationship with the Lord and he was so dedicated to chanting. So he gave him that position. No matter what others thought or no matter what others would have considered, he did the right thing. So that's again very good example for us to follow in our own personal lives. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. We can go on to chanting.